afraid of people even throwing things at my head.
I did the civil disobedience thing of having like no identification on myself, and like, you know, leaving my wallet in the car and shit like that. Because it could have gone real well and it could have gone like real badly. And then once we drove into Redwood City, there was this massive amount of military. There was like people walking around with M16s, there were like maybe a tank going by or something like that. Then actually when I saw all you guys and it was kind of cheery and it was kind of fun, you know, you kind of feel a little bit more protected by the crowd. And it's going to be okay. Although I never expected what happened next.
Happy 4th of July.
Party on, dudes.
America Around the World is brought to us by Up With America, which seeks to promote understanding between countries and highlights America's contributions to world culture. This is the first time they've been in this parade. The giant globe shows our American presence around the world and the many flight paths for travel and free trade.
Proud to be here, Redwood City.
America Around the World, Up With America.
Ronald Reagan up there. Look at that.
Thanks for being out here showing you're proud of America. Proud of what America does all around the world.
American values, baby.
And I thought, well, this is very strange. Oh, these folks are not like the rest of these other folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for America. We're all proud to be Americans. Yes! Up with America, around the world.
Get ready to be liberated.
Bringing freedom and the American dream to every country in the world. Damn proud of it, too. I'll be proud of America.
Who do we invade next? Who will it be?
Liberia. Where is that? Do they have anything we want?
Where should we go next? Antarctica. There's an easy country to attack.
Is there any oil under the ice?
We're bringing oil to the American people. Wherever the oil is, we'll get there. That's the American way.
Who are you? I'm Prophet Man. Prophet? Yes. I'm working to make the world safe for capitalism.
Good job today, Prophet Man.
I am king. King for life.
They're not getting it.
You don't think they're getting it?
I don't know. They're laughing.
What did you think about what happened?
I was amazed that about 0.5% of the people out there actually got it.
Yeah, 0.5% might be high. Yeah, it was pretty shocking that people were like, even when the funky flags were out, you know, the pirate with the American flag, I was like, when are those going to come out? And I look up and they're up and people are still like, yay, all right. And then I pull this out and they're like, yay, okay.
There was just a point where we could have cried. It was just sad.
I thought it was really sad too at one point because I was getting this, you know, waving my hand and the little skirt and everything, and I felt like I was sort of a hypocrite because they weren't getting it and I didn't know how to get them to get it. So I was just kind of going along, and it was a sad feeling, you know.
for a guerrilla action, this was the first one where I was left more confused.
More confused than them, really.
Yeah. I just remember watching this one guy, and he just kept looking at us and, what the hell is that? You know, like, what was that? What the hell was that?
How did things go? I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm just completely shocked that Up With America was a success at this parade.
It really was a success.
Yeah, everybody loved us. Why?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
History is freedom's weapon. Fine minds speaking simple truths through the centuries.
1607, Jamestown. 1620, Plymouth Rock. Here was America, the sea, the sky, the virgin continent. We came in search of freedom, facing unknown dangers rather than bend the knee or bow to tyranny. We cleared a field, and there grew up a colony of free citizens. In the midst of battle, it happened. The idea grew. The idea took form. A new and revolutionary doctrine, the greatest creative force in human relations.
The signing of the Declaration of Independence, making all men free and equal.
We fought and froze, suffered and died. For what? For the future freedom of all Americans. The Constitution, the sacred charter of we the people. The blood and sweat of we the people. In this brotherhood, America was born. One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pushed across the Alleghenies, the Ohio River, the Mississippi, the last far range of the distant Rockies. We carried freedom with us.
The discovery of gold in California. This exciting news spread rapidly and soon started vast caravans of pioneers westward to wealth and adventure. These were truly the empire builders.
Boy, I wonder what happened to all that gold.
During the war between the states, both the North and the South badly needed that gold.
Never seen such a war.
Once General Grant sent a detachment to bring through a wagon train of it. They're massacred by Indians.
Johnny Rep don't get you, the Indians will.
It's all part of our American history now, Jimmy. History we can be proud of.
Isn't he a little young for propaganda?
Well, I never thought of patriotism as having an age limit. Why shouldn't we be proud of our history, Mr. Schroeder?
Fighting for an idea. The idea bigger than the country. Without the idea, the country might have remained only a wilderness. Without the country, the idea might have remained only a dream. Until finally we were one nation, a land of hope and opportunity that had arisen out of a skeptical world. A light was shining, freedom's light. From every country and every clime, men saw that light and turned their faces toward it. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
The eyes of the world are on the United States of America today. We, as a nation, must exhibit to the world the proud fact that a government founded on the priceless liberties guaranteed by our Constitution, which came into being more than 150 years ago, is still a splendid example for all other nations to follow. All hail the flag of the United States of America.
I've been around the world a couple of times, and there's no place else on earth I would rather be than in the United States of America.
I thank God every night that I live where I'm at, and I'm not living in a third world country.
I've been to different countries. I've been to Iraq. I've even been to to South America, and everywhere I've been, it's nothing compared to us.
I'm just proud to be an American for everything that we fought for and everything that we have, all our opportunities. That's why my dog's name's Freedom.
I think it's great to be American because I have all the freedoms to be who I want to be, do what I want to do. I can dress up as a Klingon.
God is on my side, so, I love the United States.
We're not the perfect country, but we're pretty close to it.
You believe in America, and America believes in you.
Freedom. I'll go with that.
Let's take a look at the people we are.
First of all, we're a working people. On the land, at the workbench, at a desk.
The way they work, the way they think, produces the goods the nation needs. The adjustment they make on a lathe, the way they settle a grievance, spells democracy.
And we're probably the travelingest nation in all history. We love to go places. We have the cars, we have the roads, we have the scenery. We don't need passports. Music, we couldn't be without it. Churches, we have every denomination on earth. 60 million of us regularly attend, and no one dares tell us which one to go to. We believe in individual enterprise and opportunity for men and women alike. We never lose our faith in the future. We believe in the future. We build for the future. The press, yes, it's the biggest, but most important, it's the freest on earth.
I'm John Wayne. Is there any better or equal hope in the world, Lincoln asked, than the ultimate justice of the people? We Americans believe there is not.
What I mean when I say I'm a true blue American is that I believe it's one nation under God, and that the nation was founded under that principle.
We love our country and we want to keep it free, like the Bible says. God wants the people to be free.
I think it's great being American. I think we have lots of freedoms that a lot of other people don't enjoy, and it's what it's all about.
It's freedom of speech, freedom to do as you please.
Freedom of speech, freedom of everything, freedom of the press, freedom of anything that we have.
Freedom we have to do anything we want, to be free to vote for whoever we want to vote. I was born and raised an American.
And as I say, our really existence is at stake. The great wonder and freedom we have here, which I understand so much more. Most of these people, so precious. So it's like a miracle that ever happened in this world. Yeah. If you look back over the history of humanity, there's never been anything quite like this at all. Anything like this.
This flag's been in our family for a long time, but after 9/11, we put it out that day, and we're going to leave it here until it rots off.
My parents were very patriotic. We had American flags when I was in the 50s.
Glad to be here, Redwood City.
An adult or just by buying out their great tasting cookies, Redwood City Cookies, and calendar.
To me, patriotism means that you support your country. Whether you approve of what they are doing or not, you support the country and you support the men who are out there fighting for us while they're there and when they come home.
I spent 10 years in the military myself, so I think it means a lot in regards to supporting your country, supporting your leaders, and following everything that God's given us here. It's just great.
My dad fought for this country. I did. I have friends in the military, and it makes me feel good when I come in. I see my flag, so many people don't believe in their country anymore, and I do, because it's like a ship. I was in the Navy. If it goes down, we're all going to be dead.
I have an American flag. It's a 13-star flag. It is, I guess, to express a connection with the founding vision and struggle of this country, and also to express a contrast between that and what our governmental and economic establishment has become.
Patriotism really means to love your country enough to be able to criticize those people who are violating it. To love your country doesn't require you to blindly follow the leader.
I'm proud to be American. It's a great country. A lot of opportunities for everybody here, but leadership sucks. It just sucks.
We helped put them up there, so we have the right to ask them why they do things when they do things.
I think we have a right to ask, but I don't think we have a right to really judge. Until you're in that president's position, I don't think you have a right to judge him. Right. You voted him there, you put him there, you have to trust that he'll do what's right. Since the United States became the United States, we've always fought for our rights, our freedoms, and anytime we go to war, there's always this, well, we don't need to go to war, we don't need to do this. We got where we are because we've protected what we have.
The blood of Americans has been freely shed. 5 times in our history have we withstood the challenge to the idea that made our nation, the idea of equality for all men. Our fathers fought the First World War to make the world safe for democracy, for the common man. They fought a good fight. There was to be no more war in their time or their children's time. Once again, men who were peaceful became the slaves of men who were violent. Today we rule Germany, tomorrow the world. What kind of talk was that?
Across the world's battlefronts, our fighting men are hammering the enemy with weapons forged in America's mighty arsenal of democracy. These are the weapons made and wielded by free men to answer the challenge of tyrants who would enslave us if they could.
I am certain that the right will prevail. In the jungles of New Guinea, on the barren shores of the Aleutians, in the tropic heat of the Pacific Islands, in
the sub-zero cold of the skies over Germany. In Burma and Iceland, the Philippines and Iran, France, in China and Italy, Americans fighting. Fighting over an area extending 7/8 of the way around the world.
Would the atom bomb be the answer to the Chinese hordes? President Truman said that it was under consideration. On his word alone rested the decision to unleash this awful force.
Эти Америки папиросы, они очень хорошие.
Speak English, comrade. Remember, that is about the only freedom you do not have in this town. It's American town.
Americans, they have too many freedoms.
That is another thing you must remember, comrade. For one day it will be your mission to destroy those bourgeois capitalist freedoms.
Frightening, isn't it?
How will today's children function in a dangerous world? School children, yes. But in schools, they learn the ways of liberty which they must practice tomorrow to keep America free.
The entire globe, even as it trembles in passion with the birth of new nations and shrinks in the hand of a dispassionate science, is today the site of a momentous conflict.
Let's look at it this way. The communist bloc would like to see the entire world under communist domination.
We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it, just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time. Fire is a danger. It can burn whole buildings if someone is careless. Automobiles can be dangerous too. They sometimes cause bad accidents. Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. You have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. The bomb might explode without any warning. You might be eating your lunch when the flash comes. Duck and cover under the table. Duck and cover. Even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. Duck and cover fast, wherever you are. There's no time to look around or wait. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Duck and cover. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast. You might be out playing at home when the warning comes. Then be sure to get into the house fast. Yes, we must all get ready now, so we know how to save ourselves if the atomic bomb ever explodes near us. There might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Don't look up. Every second counts. Quickly remove as much of the liquid gas as you can by carefully blotting with dry cloth or absorbent material. You must work fast. The liquid gas will cause blisters if not neutralized in a few minutes after exposure. A tablespoonful of baking soda in a quart of water. Results will be improved if you can hold the eyes open. And if you can't find anyone else to help, you can irrigate your eyes yourself, even though it is awkward. Let water run into your eyes to help remove any traces of gas which may be in them. A trained man from the United States Citizens Defense Corps will take them away to decontaminate them.
Because of this conflict, many of you are already abroad. More than 1 million Americans in 91 foreign countries. First and foremost, of course, Americans are overseas to help preserve the peace.
We value our freedom so much that we try and reach out and overflow and help out other countries that don't have the kind of freedoms that we have. Every day I wake up and I realize, how lucky I am to be in a country like this. And when I was in Iraq, everybody wanted us to be there. They're happy that we were there, not trying to occupy their country, but to actually liberate them and help them be free.
I think there'd be a lot more dictatorships and things like that without us.
Being the policeman of the world, kind of being the number one person to kind of take the step to bring everybody else into line. Hey, if that's what we need to do, then that's what we need to do. Take a step in and show them how to deal with their problems.
We're like the policemen, and I mean, we're there to help other nations, evolve and be more democratic, more partisan or whatever they call it, and to try to straighten their worlds out and be like us.
Well, historically, I think it's necessary from a peacekeeping point of view. I can understand America's having to be involved in certain situations. America has to try and right every single wrong in the world. It's just it's a big world out there, and our military's already overstretched in Iraq, just trying to solve the problems there.
We care about people. Very few countries are like the United States, and when we invade another country, we don't go in ruthlessly take over like all these other countries do. If you gave them the power we have, you would see what would happen. We would be under a terrible dictatorship and everybody would be smothered. But here, this country is unique. We absolutely are greatly endangered right now. And Bush, with all the things he knows, he understands it far more than most people walking around. They have no concept of how endangered we really are. When you have these very powerful packages like atomic bombs in these very small packages, and different kinds of germ weapons and all that biological stuff. And think about it, because it's absolutely true. We're really up against it here. It's us or them. And the people that are not, who are doing what's necessary to stop them, are against us. And they are also helping the terrorists out by giving support. It's extremely important to understand. That's why I'm taking the time to talk to you about it here, and maybe a few other people will listen. Because if you don't have that perspective, you don't grasp that key point, then you're really on the other side even if you don't know it.
They're not for America, and they're not defending America's interests and America's culture. And George Bush has made it pretty clear what side he's on. If they're on the other side, what can I say? It kind of speaks for itself.
We're willing to help anybody in their time of need. And America has truly shown that over the years. All of the little wars they've helped fight and all of the aid that they've given to all of the other countries. That now a lot of the countries despise us because of it. And I don't think that's right, that we work so hard for our money and give it to these people and they just as soon spit on us as look at us.
The U.S. role around the world? I think that we need to spend more time on, people who are starving in countries that need our real support instead of going out and spending money on bombs and tanks and going out and killing people as well as our own soldiers.
I believe that we are role models for them, for all the oppressed countries. I really believe, in a whole, we're role models. We're not the perfect country, but we're pretty close to it. Been a good influence on the people around the world. I think we have been, and I think that too bad people around the world are very jealous of we have the best colleges. People come over here to go to college. We have, we have the best of the best.
Without us, the earth would be a horrible place to live. Yeah, I believe the U.S. is the beacon of freedom throughout the world. If it wasn't, why would they all want to come here? Everybody wants to come here.
Everybody wants to be like us.
That's why they all come over here.
That's why, yeah, exactly. That's why they all come over here. Because they want to be like us. So obviously we have something right here and are doing something right here that everybody else wants to copy.
My husband's French, and we have a fair amount of exposure to international assessment of what's going on around the country. So I thought, oh my goodness, it'd be really interesting to see, rather than an American presentation of how we're viewed around the world, what would be like to get different countries' opinions.
I love American people. I love American people, but I don't like American government.
World police. Do you know world policeman? It's so interesting.
Yes.
So interesting.
It's a beautiful, beautiful country, but like many other countries, it's run by politicians who are powerful and deceitful, just like others are, but unfortunately they have more power, so they cause more damage and have done consistently over the years.
The war maker. War maker. Sorry. What? The Bush is war maker. I think. So. But the American people is very friendly. Okay.
A little bit ago, there was a program that asked why people hated Americans so much. They have to remember Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, and the CIA in order to understand. And then the American people can ask themselves why they are hated so much.
A survey was carried out 10 years ago in the United States, and 50% of the people in the mid-states thought that Margaret Thatcher was the Queen of England. I do not want these people to decide the future of the world. Is this camera on? Kindly convey this message to whoever possible, and let people who are responsible and understand the issues in Bangladesh, in Nepal, in Abidjan, in South Africa, in Bangkok, vote for the world. But otherwise, stop having 285 illiterate people who don't understand anything about the world tell the world and the UN how this world should be worked out.
What we get really pissed off about is America, we have to admit, it does affect the rest of the world, but the problem is America is totally ignorant of the rest of the world, and that would piss anyone off, do you know what I mean?
I have lived in Los Angeles, New York, which is, you know, so cosmopolitan with different ethnic groups. But I would say 70% at least I came across still know nothing about China. And 60% they are afraid to leave the US to visit other countries.
We've met a lot of people from America, and they always think that their country is the best and they have the best place in the world, and well, all people in Europe, they don't think about it like that. We think you have the worst president ever. It's like the worst that can happen to everyone. I don't understand how people could have voted for him. And I don't know, I just think Americans should be more interested in the rest of the world. There's more than just America.
Europe is, to many Americans, just one big country as American. Denmark, now I'm talking personally, Denmark is to many Americans the capital of Sweden.
People outside the United States doing, as they say, oh, all the Americans, they're all stupid. It's not. And I absolutely don't hate Americans. But I can dislike very much some kind of foreign policy they do.
I would say that the reason why Americans are not so popular at the moment would be that they have gone on this solo ride on terrorism.
I used to think that America is a really good #1 symbol for almost everything, so human rights or something or something. Now they are a little bit missing from there. They do abuse too. I don't know who is wrong, who is right, but people die. Oh, I don't want to see that.
I mean, I don't think September 11th is the defining movement in history. If you ask anybody in Vietnam, you ask anybody in Laos, you ask hundreds and thousands of others who have had bombs falling all over. When you had it falling elsewhere, nobody cared. Now that it's coming to you, you're bothered.
Honestly, really, I mean, the greatest threat to world security now is the US government. Self-righteously appointing themselves as, you know, the world's global cop, and Really, I mean, nobody needs it. They're such hypocrites, really.
Like, for example, on the case of Iraq War, USA say prohibit or says to other countries not to produce, not to manufacture weapons, but USA itself manufacture weapons for sale.
Well, it can be also, they probably have liberated Iraq, but in the same time, nobody tells us how many thousands of Iraq died. They don't tell us because why the Ministry of Industry is intact. No one bomb fall on the Ministry of Oil, and why the hospitals and other structures are all destroyed.
I just think that in the future, years to come, when we study the history of what's happening now, I think that Bush will probably, he'll go alongside the likes of Hitler and, people who went and wiped out countries when he had absolutely no right or reason to do it.
I'd like to say to the leader in the United States, do not apply a hardline policy. Do not bully other countries. Every country is different from their point of view.
So it's really striking, but it's not because there's some sort of, it's not that Americans lack some gene for understanding the world. It's simply a product of living in the empire. You can get by without understanding the world in the short term.
American history, I think it was more of a manifest destiny. That to me means that, the United States had a mission that it had to do. It had to do certain things in order to become a greater country or to expand, to take care of the problems that were going on in the world.
You can go through your entire educational career of basically 13 years of public schools and hear almost no one in any position of authority ever criticize the United States government, because to do so is viewed as somehow unpatriotic.
The course of history and the way in which the course was changed. There is a relation between then and now.
The book will give you sometimes a heroic view of the United States being the savior of these savages and these poor, uneducated people, and that we do more good than bad.
It's never presented that the U.S. is selfish in any way. It's always good intentions for someone else. We're trying to benefit someone else. It's never to benefit our own country.
The liberty we prize is not America's gift to the world. It is God's gift to humanity.
We reinvent ourselves as, in fact, the most moral, the most benevolent, the most God-fearing people who've ever lived on earth.
As a creature of God, man is a being with dignity and conscience, with the ability to determine right from wrong and the obligation to act on that right.
I was a Boy Scout, so I grew up respecting the flag, studying American history. I know that I have a pride about my country, about the United States. Boy Scouts was a program or an institution that helped boys and young people, appreciate their country.
There are so many biases within American culture and American history, and we always get the story of the winner, and very often the United States has been the winner or on the winning side of any kinds of controversies, any kinds of wars. So it's hard to be critical of the winner, because then you're being a hater.
As I got older and went to college, and then I started looking as a teacher at American history, I could see, it wasn't all explained. There was a lot of gaps, and we did make mistakes. We didn't treat people like we should.
And where does the wealth of the United States come from? Which would, of course, require us to confront the fact that the land base of this country was acquired through one of the most horrific acts of genocide in recorded human history, that the Industrial Revolution, the base of much of the industrial wealth of this country, was, as is often the case, came out of the textile industry, and the textile industry was intricately related to African slavery. Millions of indigenous people slaughtered, millions of Africans not only put into slavery, but who died along the way, and millions of people in the Third World as a result both of U.S. wars and U.S. proxy wars.
But I think the philosophy about being a great country, wanting to help other people is great. But I think sometimes as individual leaders within our government, they took advantage of the situation, or they didn't tell the American people the truth. And so a lot of it was covered up until maybe 10, 15, 20 years later, and then the truth comes out.
Oh yeah, I mean, learning about the Vietnam War, the bombing of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia during the 1960s and 1970s, the fact that there were enormous numbers of cluster bombs used that are still blowing up in children's hands, that the United States never took responsibility to go back and help defuse and clean up and take away. I mean, this is the war that keeps on killing kids in Southeast Asia, and you don't hear about it in your textbooks in your own school in 2005. You know, what does that tell you?
You don't want to know that George Bush, when he was the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, assisted Saddam Hussein in providing military equipment to him and everything else. In fact, the United States Central Intelligence Agency covertly supported Saddam Hussein in the overthrow of a previously democratic government in Iraq. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to know about that. Because if that were true, why, then things wouldn't be like we've been taught.
The things that we believed in when we were in elementary school and junior high school about our country, the hope that this was a country that was truly going to live up to its democratic and other positive values. And then you get a little bit older and you're just heartbroken by, you know, not just George Bush, but by 200 years of the failure to live up to those ideals.
What happens is people then come to the college level, but there's a peculiar event that takes place, and between the freshman and sophomore year of college, you get this kind of shock effect that when you come through the public schools, that wait, there's a whole bunch of things that have been going on out in the world that I didn't know anything about at all.
Textbooks are largely the official story that airbrushes out parts of history that make some corporate powers uncomfortable. And so the textbooks are often fantasy books.
It's a curious fact about the United States. We are both the most technologically sophisticated country in the world with the most incredible system of higher education. I mean, all the world wants to come to university here. At the same time, we are one of the most undereducated, uneducated, and phenomenally stupid countries. And they're encouraged not to understand the larger world.
Most Americans don't have passports, most Americans don't travel, most Americans don't know another language. I lived in little villages in Africa where the kids grew up speaking 4 or 5 different languages.
Your country between to Mexico and Canada, and your capital city is Washington, D.C. Your country having about 50 states. The big state is Alaska and the last state is Hawaii. And your country have 285 million people. And your country is in the middle. Mexico in the down and America in the middle, Canada in the top. Yeah. And the capital of California is Sacramento. And in California have 36 million people. I know the governor of New York.
The governor of New York?
Yeah, Josh Pataki.
There's something about the depoliticization of life in America that people are so much more interested in watching what's going on television, and they can tell you, who's sleeping with who on a soap opera, or, who's winning a game show or something. But they have no idea what the United States foreign policy is or what it's doing to actually affect the lives of people all over the planet. So I think it's really critical that students at the university get an education that makes them aware of what's going on, and prepares them for a life where they might have more interest in those kinds of questions. It doesn't come to people naturally in this country.
Well, a lot of what kids learn is from the news media, TV, radio, magazines, video games.
We're in this milieu in this country, especially if you have a TV. It's like you're a fish in the water and you can't see anything else.
Yeah, that is one problem with our country, is that nowadays they seem to control the media and we get to hear what they want us to hear or what they think we should hear.
I remember having a conversation with my mother last Christmas. I said, well, look, Mom, you know, what really is so sad is that now we're in a place in America where we can't believe what we hear on TV. And that's the thing we could agree on.
So I was talking to a friend from Pakistan. I was talking to him about state television. He said, well, some people watch it, but nobody believes it because they know it's state television. Well, here, people actually watch the mainstream media and believe, even when they critique it, they actually believe this is some unadulterated version of the truth.
Yeah, I have a friend that was in France during the beginning of the Gulf War, I think it was, and he said the information that they had over there was completely different than what we had here. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a little hard to get that information onto the airwaves in America.
All over Europe, we see them day and night. It's just here in the United States that you don't see them.
We compare CNN with CNN International the day the statue came down in Firdos Square in Baghdad. On CNN, that's exactly what they showed, but on CNN International, they showed the statue going up and down, but on a split screen, and the other part of the screen were the casualties of war. And I really do believe that if we saw what's really happening in the world, we saw the effects of our actions, the military's actions, babies splattered in the streets and women dying of shrapnel wounds, I really think war would be eradicated because people in this country would not tolerate it as a civilized response to conflict. And so they sanitize, and we're ignorant about what's going on. In fact, if you look at the coverage of war today, two images come to the fore. One is the gray-grainy images with a target on it. That's the bomb target that's often provided by the Pentagon. And the other is the playing card with an Iraqi official in it. You know, they call it the Four of Spades today, or the Ace of Diamonds. And you think about the signal this sends to kids. I mean, they see the target, video game, they see the playing card, fun. And that's the feeling that they have about what's happening. War is horrific. War is death. War is bloody. War is gore. And we should know that.
The reality is that news media are numbing us much more than connecting us.
We're comfortable here. We can walk outside our door and we don't see that.
Do I worry? Well, I try to stay aware of it. Do I care? Not really.
Most stories originate in some way from U.S. government officials and Washington-based agencies.
I think the U.S. does suffer in particular from its media. The media there is dominated by an incredibly restrictive worldview, and it's a worldview created by business.
Even though you can flip through the TV channels and see dozens and dozens of them, they're mostly owned by just a few companies. Time Warner, Viacom, Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, Disney.
And so we have seen this explosion of, I would say, ownership, except it's this concentration of ownership. Clear Channel is the very Bush-connected company that went from owning 47 radio stations to 1,400 in no time at all.
After the two planes hit the Twin Towers, there was this intoning of a number on all the networks. 90% of Americans are for war. 90% of Americans, I'd like to know who was called, and if they were, what were they asked? Because if people were asked, do you believe the killing of innocent civilians should be avenged by the killing of innocent civilians, most people in this country would say no. I do think that Americans are a compassionate people if we know. And it's the responsibility of the media to make us aware, to let us know what the options are, what the debates are, what the issues are. And the media has forsaken that responsibility.
the United States, people say, well, we give away food to people all around the world. But PL 480, Public Law 480, that actually is the law that governs that 99% of all the food relief that is given by the United States government is given to countries with whom we have military alliances. And the food is given to the country, the government, and the government then takes it and sells it to its people and uses the money that they get from it to purchase military equipment from the United States. So the entire Food for Peace program, it's called Food for Peace program, it doesn't give people food for free. And in fact, it's a covert way of providing military supplies to American allies, which is to supply money to the military corporations in the United States. Now, this raises another problem. The minute you say something like that to the average person who has a high school level education in the United States, they immediately refuse to believe it. No matter how much data you try to show them about it, they'll refuse to believe that because it's inconsistent with the entire view of our country that has been taught to them by the public high school systems. And so the second thing that they do, in addition to not believing it, is they automatically assume that you're anti-American, and that when you're anti-American, you must support somebody else. Now, for years, they had the communists to blame for that. That, well, you must be a communist. Well, communists are all gone now. I mean, Soviet Union is gone, world communism has collapsed. And so now they'll think you're a terrorist, because it's kind of the new category of anybody that, if you're not for us, then you're against us.
There is poverty in the U.S., but it doesn't hit people in a visceral way. And the poverty in the third world is so much worse even than what's going on in New Orleans. And most people just don't really see that reality.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the media.
Well, I think that's a cop-out. I think
Well,
that's a
no.
crazy big
No,
cop-out.
everybody
How stupid are you?
I grew up in a place where everyone watches TV, and
That's
you
where they
don't.
go. So did I grew up in Canada,
I know.
and we have TV
I
there
know,
also.
but the thing is that our media is so bad. Our
But we
media is
see your
so
media there.
lie.
We get your media
But
in
we don't
Canada.
we don't even get good papers here.
Personal responsibility. You know, you can seek out news. So, to a certain extent, you know, like saying that it's someone else's fault, that
It's
the
not that
media's
it's someone
fault.
else's fault. It's that everyone is so busy trying to make money that they're not going home and reading the news. Everybody is so busy trying to buy their big
But
cars.
that's it,
and
isn't
whatever.
it? It's misplaced priorities.
It is.
It's that
It is,
materialism.
but when
It's
you
not the
see-
media.
But when you see that that's all that matters, we don't say on TV or whatever, this mass communication thing that, well, it's important to be well informed and to be a nice person. It's important to drive a big car and to look good and to not be fat. I think somewhere in the back of everyone's head, people know that there's something really going on that isn't right.
When you look at the globe, there's so many problems, whether it's public health, an avian flu, where we need to cooperate with other countries. Those types of problems, whether it's environmental problems, public health problems, nuclear terrorism problems, those problems have no borders. And if we don't get along with other countries, we can't deal with those problems.
For 2 centuries, the United States has been a magnet for people from all over the world to come and exercise democratic principles and individual sovereignty. We have now become an absolute power whose footprint around the world is inherently exploitative. We represent authoritarianism. We represent crass consumerism. I believe that the world in our generation is integrating as a single unit. In the last 50 years, for the first time in all of recorded history, the 6,000 different ethnic groups and language systems and tribes and societies and nations are coming together as one unit.
Also increasingly in the sense we have of a global community. You can't separate our fate from the fate of any other people. Not only is it immoral to continue on this path of empire, but it's simply unsustainable. We cannot live like this forever. Our fate is too tied to the fate of people around the world. The affluence of this culture would not be possible without the empire. The level at which we live is literally built on the backs of people all around the world. And it's important to remember what that world looks like. Who suffers to provide us with this affluence? Because people in the United States could not consume at the level we consume if someone else weren't being deprived of the fundamental resources needed to live. That is, global capitalism tied to empire produces suffering. It kills, literally, it kills people.
Our window on the world, so to speak, is largely tinted red, white, and blue.
So I grew up on John Wayne movies. He represents to me the true American ideals of justice and goodness prevailing.
It's John Wayne, it's the Schwarzenegger image, it's the George W. Bush, it's that notion. And it's one that's very powerful, obviously, and it is in sync with what most Americans grew up with.
Up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. And who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. Hello? Is anybody home? Well, you don't know me, but I know you, and I've got a message to give to you. Here come the plane. And I said, okay, who is this really? And the voice said, this is the hand that takes. This is the hand that takes. This is the hand.
My answer is bring them on.
The hand that takes. Here come the planes. They're American planes, made in America. Smoking or non-smoking? Oh, Superman.
Go range on it. Roger. Hit him. Got him. Good. Second one. Hit the other one. Hit the truck. Go ahead and store that. Auto range store. There's another guy underneath. Move right there. Good. Fire. Hit him.
'Cause when love is gone, there's always justice.
I'll be back.
when justice is gone. There's always force, and when force is gone, there's always mom. Hi, mom. So hold me, mom, in your long arms. So hold me, mom, in your long arms.
Perhaps there's a connection between what the men of the Constitutional Convention achieved here and what all of you did last week when you elected George to represent you on the school council. How about it, George? Did the class give you the power to be their boss, or did they appoint you to speak for them?
George isn't our boss. We tell him what to do. We're still the boss. All of us.
People don't even think about that. Bush is the employee. We are the boss.
There's so many of us that really know that life could be really different. That there's tons of money in the world. There's tons of resources in the world. And that we live in this incredibly gorgeous place. And that it's really worth trying to figure out how to help each other out. People really want to do that.
I knock on doors and I say, hi, my name's Riley, I'm from East Action. This is what's going on in the world. Do you want to do something about it? And if they say yes, I'm like, all right, well, here's the things you can do, here are the numbers you can call, here are the ways you can get involved, here are the places you can donate to. People are always like, how do you get change to happen? How do you get change to happen? There's something magical about change. It happens. But it happens when you become aware of what's going on. And so I think that, like, I have a lot of faith in what you're doing. I have a lot of faith in media.
People have tremendous energy, and I quote in the book Margaret Mead saying, never doubt for a moment that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. I do think that Americans are a compassionate people, if we know.
More than ever, we need to work together with other countries, and I just don't think we can exist in a world if we put ourselves above everybody else.
Well, it was definitely worth doing. It was definitely an experience to see what happened, and I think, I mean, there were responses. People did have things to say about it, and some people got it, and it was definitely worth it. I don't know,
Wait
for
till
all
they
of
come
it,
home and you know, get their pictures, and they go like, what does that say? Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something there.
If we raise the consciousness of 10 people,
Yes.
you know, I mean, that's the frustration I'm talking about the powerlessness. At some point, you got to do something.
It made just such a powerful statement about American imperialism and cultural imperialism and economic imperialism. It was brilliant.
Must have felt something like, they pulled it off.
Yeah,
You know, they got themselves into the Redwood City Parade. How the hell did they do that?
Yeah.
For me, love of country is what patriotism is about. To have a just and peaceful and sustainable future for our country and for the world, because we know that the skies are just as blue in other places and the people love their countries as much as we love ours.
US people should come out to see the world. It just move your butts and go to other countries, just like you do, right? And you change everything. Yeah. Every nation is different. And we are just like families on earth. Especially people in every country should make friends with people in another country.
We are all the same. Just need to question your government, question what they do.
You know, when I'm overseas, I hear people say horrible things about the United States, and what I take that is as a judgment that I haven't done what I need to do to bring out the best in my own country. I don't take that as something that they're doing wrong. It just means that there's George Bush's America that's grabbed the microphone, and our America whose turn is coming. What we can do to improve our relationship with the rest of the world is to improve our relationship with each other and with ourselves. We're not, I mean, people want to put out these big projects about, you know, fixing America's image in the world. We got to fix America's image in the streets of America right now. See, the United States can lead the world. The United States should lead the world, but not in war, not in incarceration rates, not in pollution. The United States should lead the world in green, clean technology that it shares with everybody. The United States should lead the world in showing how a rainbow, multiracial nation can pull together and solve tough problems, giving a rainbow, multiracial world a good leading example. I want the United States to lead the world, but not in war.
Sometimes I think if people had a better understanding of what we're doing in the American people's name, that they also would be out in the street, because I feel like we're good people and we would want our country to be doing good.
We today are in a unique position. Let's not collapse, let's get rid of the empire, but let's not collapse the systems around it. Let's use those systems to reach out to the world. We can work to create a world that truly will bring peace and prosperity and stability to people all over the world, and that's where we must go. That's the new revolution.